Letitia, and I'm with Teen Scene. We are very proud to promote the Children Miracle Network's commercial. Have a look at this. Hi, welcome back to Teen Scene. We're going to be talking about some interesting ladies. So who wants to start?
My favorite heroine is Margaret Brown because she was the first American to demand the right to vote.
Okay, well, let's have a look. Wow, that was really great. Would anyone else like to say something?
Well, one of the women that I really admire is Patsy Mink, who she really promoted and advocated for Title IX, which helped with education equality in schools.
We have a clip of that, so let's take a look.
And I'd like to now call up Wendy Mink. And Wendy, we present you with this award of appreciation from the National Women's Hall of Fame for the work and the pioneering work that your mother did in passing and helping pass Title IX. Thank you.
My mother was part of a groundswell for women's equality that arose in the late 1960s. Millions of women produced that groundswell, which gave rise to policy innovations like Title IX. As a Congress member, my mother played a role in translating women's voices for equality into laws empowering individual women to claim equality at school and at work for themselves. Making her way from high school to Congress, my mother surmounted huge discriminatory barricades against women's full participation in American society, turned away from every medical school that she applied to, one of only 2 women in her law school class at the University of Chicago, turned away from every law firm that she applied to for a job, one of only 11 women in the U.S. House of Representatives when she was first elected in 1964. In 1970, when my mother introduced her first bill to secure equality for women, the Women's Equal Rights Bill, she did so to bring an end to the discriminatory practices with which she was so familiar. She was in the front lines of legislative struggles for women's equality because she was determined to make the world a fairer place for my generation of women and for the next generation and for the generation after that. My mother was fiercely proud to have played a role in winning and securing Title IX. But she was even more proud to witness the difference that Title IX actually made as it enabled millions of girls and women to assert equality and to demand fairness. On my mother's behalf, I thank the National Women's Hall of Fame for this award, for remembering and recognizing Patsy Mink as part of Title IX history. Thank you.
That was very interesting. Okay, so who is yours?
One of my favorites is Harriet Tubman. She started the Underground Railroad.
Let's have a look. Monica, let's take a break.
Hi, I'm Jenna, and I really like the Children's Miracle Network because they're there to help kids who are dying of cancer and other diseases. Let's have a look.
Hi, I'm Julissa Bermudez. Please join me in supporting Children's Miracle Network hospitals. Help make miracles happen for kids.
Welcome back. I'm Letitia, and we're here talking with the girls about their favorite women at the center. One of my favorites is Eugenie Clark because she was known as the Shark Lady because of her interest with the ocean. Let's take a look.
On May 4th of the year 1922, a girl named Eugenie Clark was born, later known as the Shark Lady. Eugenie was raised completely by her mother Yumiko due to her father's death when Eugenie was just a baby. Eugenie grew up in New York, which is where her interest in fish began. When her mother took her to the Battery Park Aquarium in New York, she immediately became fascinated with the fish and started to visit the aquarium regularly. Her interest in fish grew stronger over the years, and she decided she wanted to make a career out of it. She attended Hunter College and earned her bachelor's degree in 1931 for zoology. Clark later earned her master's degree in zoology from the New York University in 1942. After earning her master's, Eugenie was hired at U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service to study fish in the Philippine Islands. However, she only reached Hawaii until she was denied by FBI clearance. She then returned to New York to work on getting her doctorate at NYU. During that time, she also worked at the American Museum of Natural History. In 1949, she began her travels in the South Pacific to study fish for the U.S. Navy. In 1950, Eugenie received her Ph.D. in zoology from the NYU and also received a Fulbright scholarship to study fish in the Red Sea. She became the first woman to ever work at a marine biological station in Egypt. Clark spent the next year there collecting specimens. She used fish poison and learned spearing techniques to obtain some of her specimens. She even discovered 3 species that were previously unknown. Clark wrote an autobiography titled Lady with a Spear that was published in 1953 and became a bestseller. She became the founder and executive director of Cape Hayes Marine Laboratory in Florida in 1955. In 1968, Clark was given a position as a professor at the University of Maryland College Park. Eugenie has given over 60 lectures to colleges and universities in the U.S. Over her years of hard work and research, she became a world-famous scientist in scuba diving for research. Clark has been diving with sharks for over 30 years. She is active in scuba diving research on fish and submarine dives. Clark's interest in sharks grew increasingly when she received a call from a scientist who needed shark livers for his cancer research. She collected tons of shark specimens so that they could be dissected or cut apart. She cut up the stomachs of more than 1,500 dead sharks to learn what they ate, and found out that they consume many types of fish, including crabs, eels, octopuses, and other sharks. Clark wanted to find other ways to study sharks, so her and a few other scientists built pens next to the dock, which they used to trap the sharks, and Clark would study them from inside the tank. Clark discovered that sharks are capable of learning. Eugenie was able to teach the sharks she had in captivity how to hit a target and receive food. Eugenie has written books, articles, and scientific journals, given lectures, and had specials on television about her research. She has received multiple awards for her accomplishments. Eugenie discovered
Wow, okay. So who wants to share another lady?
Well, I guess I will. One of my other favorites was Clara Barton. She helped do the aid for the soldiers during the Civil War.
Okay, Monica, let's have a look.
hers was Linda Shevitz. And not only did she help develop what this museum is here at the center, but she also was a big advocate for Title IX.
Well, why don't we have a look?
Linda Shivers. Good morning. Is it a symbol that the fog cleared, the rain went away, and the sun is out? It speaks to women's role in history, that we bring sunshine and light to all that we do. So glad to see all of you. I've talked to most of you on the phone, and we are just thrilled to be here, and it's been a tremendous partnership with the Maryland Women's Heritage Center. I'm the program coordinator, working with Mayor Moyer and Karen and Gelke, who've done a phenomenal job in putting the tour together. So we want to wait until lunchtime to tell you a little more about the Maryland Women's Heritage Center, but there's information in your packets, and there also is a contact form to fill out, so you'll be on our list to get our quarterly newsletter and announcements of other events. We are again delighted to have you here.
Thank goodness Linda Shevitz founded this center. Let's take a break.
Hi, I'm Monica, and I really like the Children's Miracle Network because they help out kids who need help, and it's really nice to have kids know that they have people that will help them. So let's have a look.
Children's Miracle Network Hospitals helps more kids and their families than any other children's charity. Learn how you can make miracles happen by visiting cmnhospitals.org.
My favorite was Billie Holiday. She was a great singer and from Baltimore.
Okay, let's have a look.
In the world of music scholarship stands a wonderful woman, a jazz vocalist, known as one of the most prominent artists of the 20th century and one of the greatest singers in American history, Eleanor Fagan, known to us as Billie Holiday. Billie Holiday, born in Baltimore City, Maryland on April 7, 1915, lived in poverty with her mother during her early years. In the 5th grade, she traded in her formal education for child labor in order to have food and shelter. At 12 years of age, she and her mother moved to New York, where she would soon become a major player on the jazz music scene. In 1933, the famous music producer, John Hammond, was instantly impressed with Miss Holiday's unique musical style and introduced her to Benny Goodman. With Goodman's group, Miss Holiday made her first studio recording entitled Your Mother's Son-in-Law. She encountered systematic racism and sexism that permeated the music industry during her time. Second-rate, leftover musical works trickled down the racial ladder to artists of color, while the best songs were reserved by the music labels for Caucasian singers. Miss Holiday's genius shined through this obstacle. Her unique ability to interpret musical works with emotion and personal truth, with authenticity and originality, turned ordinary songs into popular classics. She turned their lemons into her lemonade that became sweet music to everyone's ears. In 1936, Miss Holiday recorded with saxophonist Lester Young. Most of her memorable recordings came out of the friendly collaboration with Mr. Young, who gave her the name Lady Day. Later, she dared to reach across the interracial divide, becoming one of the first African-American female vocalists to perform with a European-American band. Then she joined New York's Cafe Society, the only integrated club at that time. She performed an important work entitled Strange Fruit, which was written by activist Lewis Allen. It describes lynching of African Americans in the southern states and is now an anthem for social justice. During the 1940s and 50s, Miss Holiday continued to achieve great success and recorded her own compositions, including the hit song, God Bless the Child. She toured Europe and later released her autobiography during her pinnacle of popularity. The Grammy honored her with a Lifetime Achievement Award. A critically acclaimed film of her life was entitled Lady Sings the Blues. United States Postal Service released a postal stamp in her honor. She was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and Baltimore City recognized her significance with a statue in her honor. Miss Holliday demonstrated that she was a woman of integrity, ingenuity, inclusiveness, involvement, and influence. We all know that energy cannot be destroyed. We know that the highest form of energy on this earth is the human spirit. We know that the life energy of Miss Holliday is with us right now, receiving, thanking, and celebrating as we give her the remembrance and reward she has earned. She is a monumental maiden of Maryland. Although her flesh has transitioned for rest, her productivity is alive. Her good name is alive. Her genius is alive. Her passion is alive. Her offering to artistic vitality is alive. Her story in history is alive. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome and escort the legend, Miss Billie Holiday, into the Maryland Women's Hall of Fame.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. And thank you for permitting me to be with you tonight, allowing me to accept such a prestigious honor on behalf of the late Billie Holiday and her estate. Words cannot adequately express my gratitude for such a beautiful gift. I will treasure this magnificent bowl, and it will forever remind all that gaze upon it the legacy of Billie's many contributions to and on behalf of the Commission for Women. I would particularly like to express my appreciation to the entire Commission for this wonderful tribute to Billie's life and senseless work.
What do you think keeps Billie's memory?
Well, she was the greatest jazz singer was ever around. She started jazz singing. That's one thing that keeps her alive. And that's all over. I was on the Queen Mary, the boat, on a cruise.
Yes.
They played her all day. They say in Japan her records just sell like crazy. That was English boat. Everywhere I go, Billie Holiday, So she is an icon. She will be around for a while.
All right.
For a long time.
And you heard that from the lady herself.
Okay.
All right.
Wow, she really is a great singer. My second favorite is Edith Clark because she was the first woman that got an electrical engineering degree. Wow, women have come a long way. So, what did you guys learn today?
I think the most important thing is that we learn about all the women that were behind the scenes, not necessarily the ones that took all the awards and got the ribbons, but the ones that really helped to be the behind the scenes work, to help push those who actually did take the award.
I like coming here to look at the exhibits, especially when Mary Cleave came here. We talked about her when she went up in space and everything. And over there is her space suit that she actually wore up in space. I think that is really cool.
I think that was very nice of her to donate to the center.
I do too. It's amazing how Mary Cleave actually donated something to this Women Heritage Center that she actually wore.
I think it just goes to show that she really supports this museum and she wants to see it grow into something maybe a little bit bigger so that more people come and can see her story and everybody else's story that's also here.
Say hello. We have a lot of interesting things going on when it comes to careers in science, technology, engineering, and math, and it's really exciting to be able to share some of them with you. This is a very exciting career for kids, any kid, but in particular we'd like to encourage girls to think about being an engineer or a scientist because it's really a fun career. I worked for over 30 years as an engineer, and I can't think of anything I could do that would have been more fun than what I did, and what I'm still doing, in fact. So it's really a great thing to consider. So I'm going to show you some clips. Come on with me on the trip.
That was one of the crew pictures we took that kind of said what everybody was going to do on the mission.
being led out really by mission specialist Norm Thagard, Mark Lee, Mary Cleve, and the commander and pilot, Commander Dave Walker waving, and pilot Ron Graby waving. T-minus 15, 14, 13, and liftoff.
1,000 feet per second. Atlantis 2 miles downrange.
Brewster and Brian and Murray in the flight deck. They're preparing for the first of the 2 spacewalks. 3 of us, Murray, Woody and myself, dubbed ourselves the Ace Construction Company with the supporting crew of the rest of the crew, and we put up our advertisement after we'd completed the construction of the first access truss.
The arm flies wonderfully. It's just such a great tool. Real smooth and no surprises. Being able to interact with them, and they gave me some real good directions while we were up there.
Mary took most of these motion picture earth views that we've got, and this is one way she did it.
We had a mid-deck experiment called a fluid experiment apparatus, which you can see here. My hands are inside of this. It's a little furnace. We were growing indium crystals. It was really an excellent mid-deck for us. We controlled it with our little experiment computer, which worked great, different floppy disks for each experimental run.
Here's Mary at the overhead windows. This is our primary vantage point for Earth observation photography.
Yeah, I sort of shared doing the food cooking duties. Whoever got hungry first seemed to be the person that would end up cooking. But it's actually a lot easier in 0G going up the stairs. In 1G you have to be careful and take the trays one at a time, these bags, before we unpack them. You can see it took up a lot of space down here. A lot of times at work I feel like I'm running around in circles, and so I tried actually running around in circles, and it worked up there, and it was a lot of fun.
Walker.
It's been fun working with you here and showing you a little bit about what NASA does, and I hope that we have a great time. Hope that you have a good time too. It's been great talking to you.
Well, this has been another great episode of Teen Scene. I'm Letitia, and until next time, bye. Bye. Bye.
Hi, I'm Sarah, and I'm really disappointed when children are sick. That's why I like the Children's Miracle Network. Have a look at this.
Hi, I'm Matt Lancer. Please join me in supporting Children's Miracle Network hospitals to help make miracles happen for kids.
Sharks are the most feared creatures in the ocean. Every now and then, sharks mistake surfers for seals. In result, they kill about 10 people each year. In several movies, such as Jaws, you'll see women running and screaming from the beach while men are being portrayed as brave by going after these gigantic fish. One woman changed that all. She was the first woman to swim with hungry sharks. Her name is Eugenie Clark. Eugenie was born on May 4th, 1922 in New York City. When she was 2, her father, Charles Clark, died from old age. Jeannie and her mother were forced to move into a small apartment with Jeannie's grandmother. Her mother got a job at a newsstand in Manhattan and sent Jeannie off to the aquarium every morning. She has always had a fascination with animals. Jeannie loved wandering through the aquarium every day. She became especially fascinated with tropical fish and, more importantly, sharks. Her mother became fascinated with fish as well. They bought a 50-gallon tank to house several different kinds of fish. Her mother was always supportive of her interests, even though they were a poor family. Throughout high school, Jeannie was a very hard-working student. She had an interest in biology and got all A's throughout her high school years. Jeannie graduated high school at the young age of 16. Her family couldn't afford to send her off to college, and her mother was skeptical that Jeannie wouldn't find the job she wanted. Despite her mother's opinion, she was accepted to the all-women's Hunters College. Her family spent every last penny on her education. After a full 4 years, she graduated from Hunters College in 1946. Finding a job was not easy at first. She took a job as a chemist at a plastic research center in New Jersey, even though she wanted something more exciting. As she became more advanced in her education, more jobs opened up to her. At the time, women were typically nurses, secretaries, and elementary school teachers. Quote, Jeannie wanted to do what scientists did, not necessarily what women were supposed to do, unquote. In 1946, Dr. Carl Hubbs offered her a job as a research assistant at the University of California, Scripps Institute of Oceanography. She was overjoyed and gladly accepted. During her first dive with Dr. Carl, she realized it was not going to be easy being a woman in this career. While descending into the ocean, she had difficulty with the air valve on her helmet. Water began to fill her helmet, so she immediately took it off and swam up to the surface. When she was on the boat, one of the male divers said, "Just like a girl to screw the valve the wrong way and cut off her air." In 1950, she married Elias Constantinou and had 4 kids with him. Their names were Hera, Aya, Tak, and Nikki. In the same year, she received her master's degree in ichthyology at New York University. She continued to advance in her career and tackle challenges no woman has ever done before. Jeannie accomplished many things throughout her career. She corrected misunderstandings about sharks and was one of the first successful women ichthyologists. Throughout her life, she wrote 3 books called The Lady with the Spear, The Lady and the Sharks, and a children's book called The Desert Beneath the Sea. During one of her many dives, she set a women's world record for freshwater diving. Along with several other personal accomplishments, Jeannie won the Constantou Award in 1973, Gold Medal of the Society of Women Geographers in 1975, and the Lowell Thomas Award of the Explorers Club in 1986. Jeannie is still living today. Her 4 children all continued on to be very successful. She is currently married to Henry Kahn, and they live a quiet life in South Florida. Even though she is 86, she has not fully finished her research. Her latest project involves the behavior of tropical sandfish and deep-sea sharks. She has been mentioned in 12 articles, and she has recently written for National Geographic magazine. In my opinion, Jeannie has made a huge contribution to science and is a role model to all aspiring women scientists.